Episode 7. A pleasant surprise. Not only will he be able to get his revenge a lot faster thanks to the system, but he will also be greatly rewarded for doing so. It was like a dream come true. Moby was lucky that no one was in the nurse's office because it was still late at night. If that was not the case, then, he would seem like a lunatic psychopath with his dark laugh and the few instances where he talked to himself. Although the system and Moby could communicate telepathically, at times Moby was so ecstatic that he couldn't help but think out loud. All the pieces were starting to fall into place in Moby's head. He knew that before he started devising any plans, he needs to become much stronger. Then, he remembered his daily quest. The quest reset at 12 a.m. every day, so he had a long time to complete it. But, since he had nothing to do until the morning, he decided to do them in the nurse's office. After he added his extra stat points, he no longer became tired due to his sudden surge of power. That meant that now is the perfect time to finish the daily quest. The time is 5:30. Class starts at 8 o'clock. And, the nurse comes into the room at 7 o'clock, so he should try to be done by then. The push-ups, sit-ups, and squats were simple enough and only took him 45 minutes to complete. The real problem was how he was supposed to run 10 kilometers in the nurse's office. When he opened the curtains to see the rest of the room, it was completely empty. The room was by no means small, in fact, it was pretty huge for a simple nurse's office. But even still, there was hardly any room for running. Moby decided to try running in circles to see if that would go to completing the quest. After running for a few minutes, he decided to check his progress. 679 m/10 km. It was working. Although running around in a circle was impractical, slow, tiring, and nauseating. It was the only option he had. Moby could not stand to waste his time. Now that he had a clear way of getting stronger. Only a fool would waste his time after making such a discovery. 45 minutes later. Nurse's POV, the nurse was walking down the hallway on her way to her office. She was very worried. She didn't expect to have a patient from the first day. Moby was literally knocking on death's door. If the retrieval team got him to her any later, there would be no doubt that he would be dead. His ribs were broken poking into his lungs. He had a concussion, a broken femur and many internal injuries. The oddest parts were that all his fingers were broken, his nails were all torn off, and he reeked of human piss. She knew that this was no accident and the boy was on the receiving end of unbelievable torture. She had many questions to ask him in order to file her report on what happened. When she opened the door, she was greeted with the most absurd sight she had ever seen. The boy that was knocking on death's door just a few hours ago was running in circles like a madman having a sugar rush. She dropped all of her belongings in shock as she was flabbergasted from what she just witnessed. "How are you already out of bed?" she screamed with a hint of concern. Moby's POV, Moby felt like he had been running for a while. But, he has yet to receive a notification for completing the quest. He hasn't been focused on the time, so he had no idea the clock just hit 7. The door started to unlock, but Moby was too occupied with finishing the quest to even notice. Then, he received a notification. /U003C Daily Quest Complete /U003E. /U003C plus 3 stat points /U003E. Moby didn't even have time to catch his breath and feel happy for his accomplishments before he heard a loud bang coming from the direction of the door. As he looked, he saw a nice-looking young girl wearing a white coat and glasses. Under her, were a bunch of books on the ground. She had short brown hair that came down to her shoulders, bright blue eyes, and an impressive-looking figure with a cute face. She didn't look any older than 25 years old. Ads by Pub Future. "How are you already out of bed?" Moby quickly looked at the time and noticed that it was already 7:02. He began to beat himself up inwardly at how careless he was. "I just woke up a few minutes ago and I decided to do some exercise. is there something wrong? Moby asked while scratching the back of his head, putting on a fake expression. Yes. There is something wrong. With your previous condition, you should have been out for at least 1 or 2 days. But, here you are running around good as new. Condition? Moby said while trying to feign ignorance. What? You don't remember what happened? The nurse asked in surprise. The nurse should have expected this outcome. She forgot that the boy suffered a big concussion, so there was a high probability that he would have lost his memory. As I said, I woke up in this room not too long ago. I suspected that I might have been injured and brought here. However, I have no memories of how I became injured. When I woke up, I felt like I had no injuries and was completely full of energy, so I decided to exercise like I usually do every morning, Moby said, like he couldn't understand anything going on. Moby then heard a laugh in his head. Heh heh heh. Host, I never knew you were such a smooth liar, the system said. Well, my old self was always honest thanks to you absorbing my negative energy, so I was unable to tell a lie. Now I can do whatever I want with no shackles restricting my brain. I can't let her know about Nathan because it would definitely get in the way of my revenge, so this is the best option I have. Hopefully, she believes me, or else I will be in really deep shit due to my carelessness, Moby replied. I believe you. Since you lost your memories, I will not pry any further into this affair. I don't know how you recovered so quickly, but I am really happy that you are okay. You were nearly dead when you came in for treatment, you know. This is a miracle that you survived. The nurse said with a genuine-looking smile. Oh, was I really? Thank you for saving my life. I am so sorry if it was any hassle, said Moby while nervously laughing. No, I promise you were no hassle. I am only doing my job, the nurse said nervously. The nurse then coughed twice and regained her composure. I have prepared your new student uniform for you since your old clothes were torn up and dirty. The retrieval team also managed to find your sword. It was right next to your body when you were found. Your clothes will be in the next room where you will find a shower. I recommend you take one because you smelled very unpleasant when you arrived. Sorry if that sounded a little mean, that was never my intention and I was merely trying to inform you, that's all. After that, you should head straight to class. You will be informed about your homeroom from your watch 20 minutes before class. I wish you a safe day at school. If you remember anything about what happened to you, please let me know and I will do everything in my power to help you, she said with a concerned, loving smile. Moby nodded with a smile and headed towards the showers. As soon as he exited the room, his smile instantly disappeared into his usual serious expression. I never thought that faking a smile could be so tiring, Moby mentally thought with a sigh. That lady seemed really nice, don't you think? The system said. Don't be fooled, she definitely had some sort of ulterior motives. From my past experiences, I've learned not to trust anyone no matter how nice and fluffy they look on the outside. The only person I can trust is myself, Moby replied. Do you trust me? The system asked. Well, you are part of me now, so yeah, I guess. That's good to know, host. And stop calling me host, it's annoying, just call me Moby. And I don't feel like calling you system all the time, it makes me feel like a robot, so from now on I'll be calling you Avelia. Okay, Moby, I understand. By the way, why are you even asking me questions? I thought you can read my mind, Moby questioned. Well, I am only able to see your surface thoughts and general ideas, so I wouldn't say I can completely read your mind, Avelia replied. Well, that's good to know, Moby said while smiling. Ads by Pub Future. 20 minutes have passed since Moby left the nurse's office. Moby got out of the shower wearing his new school uniform. The uniform was a black button-up coat with white and red lines accenting the look. The pants were a pair of flexible joggers that matched the same color scheme. And the shoes were all black running shoes. The entire outfit was extremely flexible and comfortable to wear. Moby has never worn such nice clothes in his life. The time was 7:35, so it was 5 minutes before he will be notified about what class he will be in. He suddenly remembered that he still has 3 stat points to assign from completing the daily quest. After a little thinking, he decided to add 1 point into endurance, 1 point into strength, and 1 point into agility. He wanted to have a more well-rounded build. But he still didn't have the time to experiment with intelligence and mind, so he still ignored them for now. Moby's stats were now as follows. Stats. Name, Moby Kane. Race, human. Level, 1, XP to next level 10/100. Power level, 890. HP, 100/100. Demon Energy, 20/20. Demon Energy Regeneration, 10 Demon Energy/hour. Strength, 23. Agility, 23. Endurance, 23. Intelligence, 20. Mind, 10. Available points to distribute, 0. Suddenly his watch started to ring. RM 219. That must be his classroom number. Moby still had 20 minutes before class started, so he was in no rush to go to class. So he decided to walk to the class slowly, as he decided to explore the school a little. On his way to class, he noticed many disgusted stares from other students. As soon as they saw his power level, they would look at him with cold, hating eyes like he was some sort of unwanted rodent that wound up in the school. He saw many instances of girls that tried to approach him but then walk away quickly when they noticed the number on his watch. Moby has seen these scenes play out many times during his time in his previous schools, but only now does he realize their true meaning. Moby laughed inwardly to himself and continued walking, ignoring the awful stares. It doesn't bother him now. Because, in the future, he will rise above all of them, and show them who they were looking down on. After a few minutes of exploring the school, Moby finally decided to head to class. Room 219, this should be it, Moby thought. As Moby entered the room, he started to look around. It seemed like most of the class was already here and most of the seats were taken. Then, he heard a familiar voice that would have been impossible for him to forget. "Hey Moby! Come here. There is an open spot right next to me," he shouted while smiling at him. Episode 8. An old friend. Although he was not very strong, he was well strong enough to beat Moby. Since he was still considered weak, he was also bullied every day. Almost every day, he would use Moby as a punching bag and extort him out of a lot of money to vent out his anger. The past Moby was naive and stupid, so he would always take his beating with no complaints. But now that his mind is clearer, he wants nothing more than to kill him. Moby did not give two shits about how he was also bullied. Whoever messes with him will get what he deserves. That is his new way of life. Moby decided to act like his previous naively positive personality to not arouse any suspicions. Moby walked towards him and sat right next to him. "Hey there, Eric. It's been so long. I'm so glad to see a familiar face in my class," Moby said with a fake smile. "Hey, Moby old buddy, didn't you miss me? I bet you got bored all summer without my company," Eric replied while laughing. Eric knew that Moby is extremely stupid and easily manipulated, so he couldn't help but laugh. He looked at Moby's power level just to be sure he is still much weaker than him, and it was still the case. The number it displayed was \U003C800\U003E. Eric could not help but laugh even louder. "Summer was very boring without my buddy Eric," Moby said while still smiling. "Anyways, since you and I didn't see each other during the summer, you are 90 days overdue with your daily payment. My sister is still in the hospital and her condition has gotten much worse. I need your help paying for her expenses. Since you are overdue 90 days, I will add some interest to your daily payment of $10 a day. So your total will be $1,200. Eric said while sinisterly smiling. Eric was of course lying. You can easily tell by his tone of voice. The excuse that his sister was in the hospital is a total fabrication. He was simply trying to find an excuse to extort a stupid ignorant kid that was weaker than him to gain more money. Also, my fighting skills have gotten a little rusty, so I wish to practice with you after school. Meet me in the woods behind the school at 5 o'clock. There you will give me the money and we will have our little spar, okay? Eric said with an even creepier smile. Moby looked at Eric's watch to see his power level. /U003C950 /U003E. No wonder he was able to easily beat Moby. Before the system, Moby's power level was a measly 800. The difference in power level was simply too high. But now, Moby's power level is 890, so he stands a much higher chance of winning. Yes, of course, anything for my buddy Eric. I'll grab the money and meet you in the woods behind the school at 5. Moby said while smiling even bigger. Ads by Pub Future. /U003C System Alert /U003E. /U003C New Quest /U003E. The F-Class Bully. Description. Kill the bully Eric Quinn in the most brutal way possible. Make sure to torture him and make him pay for ever messing with you. Students killed, 0/1. Students tortured, 0/1. Time limit, 15 hours and 30 minutes. Rewards. 15 stat points. 1 XP/tier. 5 XP/times begged for life. 3 XP/scream. /U003C. Will you accept this quest? /U003E. /U003C. Yes. /U003E. /U003C. No. /U003E. At that moment Moby could not help but laugh out loud. As he instantly clicked, yes. Eric thought that it was a bit bizarre and out of character, but he thought nothing of it. He was dying to beat the shit out of Moby because he has not vented his frustration on him in over 3 months. This was a very intriguing quest for Moby. It seemed like he gets rewarded by how hard he tortures Eric. Moby could not have hoped for a better quest. Thank you for the wonderful quest, Avelia, Moby thought inwardly. Ads by Pub Future. No problem. The guy deserves it. Just look at his smug face. I can't stand it, Avelia said like she was in disgust. It seems like we are in agreement, Moby replied. Suddenly a big muscular man with a full beard walked in the room. He had spiky orange hair and hazel brown eyes. His attire was very professional as he was wearing a button-up shirt and tie with dress pants. It was Examiner Leo. Good morning, students, I will be your homeroom teacher, Professor Leo. Moby was surprised to see that his homeroom teacher is the same person that judged his exam group, after a 7-hour straight lecture about the history and horrors of the war, only taking a break to have lunch. It was now 3 o'clock. School was finally over. Although the lecture was long, Professor Leo somehow managed to keep everyone's attention. This lecture was a scare tactic to make students work harder. Moby didn't really care about the lecture, so he slept through most of it. On his way out, he saw Eric waiting by the door. Don't forget, I will meet you at the entrance of the woods behind the school at 5 o'clock. Don't be late, Eric said while walking away. Don't worry. There is no way I would forget, trust me, Moby said with a disturbing smile. As Moby was walking out of the school, he noticed it started to rain. He began thinking of the different ways he was going to torture Eric to maximize his XP gain. He decided that he will need to buy some rope to tie him up with after he knocks him out. The school provides each student with a $50 salary every day. The money is transferred straight to each student's watch. The school already provides free food and drinks to students. So, the money they provide can be used for anything the student wants because they do not have to pay for food or shelter. Seeing people with higher power levels extort people for their daily salary is a very common sight because the teachers do not care. So Moby had to go very low profile to not grab the attention of any high levels. Moby managed to make it to the supermarket with no problems. He used most of his money to buy a long sturdy rope. He put the rope in his bag and walked back to school. He headed for the entrance of the woods while keeping a low profile. The time was exactly 5 o'clock. As he neared the entrance of the woods he could see the figure of someone waiting. As he got closer, he saw that it was Eric. "You kept me waiting, you are 1 minute late. I guess this means that I will have to go tougher on you in training," Eric said while smiling. "I understand, I feel awful for making you wait for me. I will accept whatever punishment you see fit," Moby said while bowing, hiding his creepy-looking smile. "You have the money, right?" Eric asked in a harsh tone. "Of course I do. You don't have to worry about a thing," Moby said while smiling. "There is a river that flows further in the forest. We shall go there for our secluded training. Not many people know about it, so we will definitely be undisturbed there," Eric said while smiling. "Secluded, uninterrupted training. I like the sound of that," Moby excitedly said while laughing. They both began walking to their new location. It took them 20 minutes straight of walking to reach their destination. Moby could not help but feel like that was time wasted. For these 20 minutes, Moby could have been torturing Eric. He felt like he was wasting valuable XP. This made Moby very angry. But, he could not show it on his face in order to not arouse any suspicion. When they arrived they put their bags next to a tree and wore their fighting gear. "We are finally here. This river is my secret spot, no one should disturb us here. This will be fun," Eric said while laughing cynically. "Yes, this will be fun indeed," Moby replied with a big smile.